and told a story of the Porcelain Man, which is the first story in Richard's collected works. And here is his introduction to the Porcelain Man.
This is Vance, actually, when he gets back.
It was a cold winter. I was living alone in a house that was being torn down. Doors and window frames, stair landings, cabinet sidings, moldings were lying all about. Plaster littered the floor, and I kept warm by stoking the fireplace with scraps of wood, a sort of cannibalistic rite, the house consuming itself. And then I was wondering about Humpty Dumpty one day. Now, he had been put together by all the king's horses and all the king's men. Could they ever have done it right? And if not, what? Also, after 14 years of marriage, I was alone. My wife and children elsewhere. We're all gone. The Porcelain Man.
The Porcelain Man, Richard dedicates this book to his mother. Well, once upon a time, at the edge of town, there lived a harsh man with a timid daughter who had grown pale and dreamy from too much obedience. The man kept the girl busy and hardly ever let her go out of doors. "You're lucky to be inside where it's safe and sound," he would say to her. "It's dog eat dog out there. The world is full of bottle snatchers, rag mongers, and rat robbers. Believe you me." The girl believed him. Every morning the man left the house in his rickety wagon pulled by his rackety horse. And all day long he would go up and down the streets of the town, out into the countryside and to neighboring villages to find what he could find. He would bring home old broken wheels, tables and chairs with legs gone from them, pots and pans with holes in them, scraps of this and pieces of that. His daughter would then mend and repair the junk during her long and lonely days inside the house, and the man would take them away and sell them as second-hand goods. This is the way they lived. One morning, the man left the house and gave his daughter his usual instruction and warning. "Someone passes on the road, stay away from the window. Someone knocks, don't answer. I could tell you terrible stories." And then he left, and the girl began to work on a broken lantern. Now, this morning, some good luck would happen to the man. As he was passing a rich man's house, a clumsy kitchen maid chased two cats out the door with a broom and knocked over a large porcelain vase. The vase rolled out the door and down the steps and the path and shattered to pieces against the marble pillar near the roadway. The man stopped, watched. The maid closed the door. The man waited for 10 minutes. No one came out. Then he leaped down from the cart and gathered up the broken porcelain. He set the pieces gently in his cart and he hurried off toward home. His daughter, as usual, was safe and sound inside. "This is fine porcelain," the man said. "Drop whatever you're doing and patch it up. We'll get a good price for it." It was early in the day yet, so the man left again to see what else he might find. He remembered, though, to stop at the door and say, "Stay inside. Terrible things are going on out there. Dog eat dog. Devil take the hindmost," and so forth. And then he left. The girl turned a piece of porcelain in her fingers, admiring its beauty. She carefully laid the pieces on a blanket and got out the glue. Then, humming to herself and musing on fanciful thoughts in the ways she had acquired from being so much alone, she began to piece the porcelain together. She worked quickly and neatly, even though her thoughts were completely elsewhere. And at the end of a couple of hours, she was amazed to see she had just set the last piece in place of a full-size porcelain man. And at that moment, the porcelain man spoke. "I love you," he said, taking a step toward the girl. "Gracious," she said, snatching up the blanket and throwing it about the man. "Gracious!" As the porcelain man encircled her in his arms and kissed her. Now, while this was happening, the girl's father returned to the house. And right at that moment, he opened the door to the room. "Whoa!" he bellowed. He grabbed a chair, raised it above his head, and brought it down squarely on the head of the porcelain man with a blow that shattered him from head to toe, and the porcelain pieces scattered over the floor. "God Almighty!" the man cried. "I fractured his skull!" The girl let out a wail, and the man dropped to his knees, stunned by this catastrophe. But the girl explained that it had not been a real man, but only one made of porcelain. "A porcelain man? Who could move? And he could talk as well," said the girl. "Fantastic," said the man. "Quick, put them together again before you forget how you did it. I'll make a cage for him. We'll take him to the county fair. I'll charge $1 to see him. He can learn to dance. I'll make a big sign saying, 'See the dancing pot,' or something like that. I'll make thousands. Quick, quick, put them together again." So the girl collected the pieces and the blanket and slowly began gluing them together again. Her father sat down and watched her for a while, but he found it boring and fell asleep. The girl worked on, very sad that the porcelain man would be taken away in a cage. She was so distressed by her thoughts that she did not notice until putting the last piece in place that she had built a small porcelain horse. And the horse neighed. The man woke up. "What's that?" he said. "Why, that's no man, that's a horse. Now you'll just have to do it all over again. This time, concentrate." Saying this, the man took up the chair over his head so as to smash the horse. But the horse said to the girl, "Quickly, jump on my back." And she did. And in a second, the horse leaped out the window with the girl, and they galloped across the countryside as the man stood waving the chair at them through the window and shouting words they could not hear. After running for several miles, the horse stopped in a small meadow in the center of which stood a tree. "Get down," said the horse. The girl did. "Now," said the horse, "I will run into the tree and break myself to pieces, and then you are to put me back together as a man again." And then the horse added, "Remember, I love you." And before the girl could say a word, the horse dashed toward the tree and crashed into it at full gallop and broke into 100 pieces. The girl cried out and sat down under the tree and wept, for she had no glue. Now on a path nearby came along a young man pushing a wheelbarrow. And he stopped when he saw the girl by the tree, and he went to comfort her. "Oh, don't cry," he said. "Here, let us gather up the pieces and put them in the wheelbarrow. Come along with me. We'll fix everything as good as new." So they loaded up the broken porcelain, and they went to the man's cottage and spread the pieces out on a blanket. It must have been a beautiful set of dishes, said the man, and they began to glue some pieces together. They talked as they worked and told each other all about themselves. The girl admired how well and quickly the young man worked with his hands. And in a short while, they put together a dozen dishes, 8 saucers and teacups, 6 bowls, 2 large serving platters, a small pitcher, and 2 small vases. They cooked supper then, and their eyes met often as they moved about. Now and again, their hands touched, and they brushed against each other as they moved about. They set the table with porcelain ware, and when they were eating, the girl's plate whispered up to her, "I still love you." "Oh, hush," she said. "I beg your pardon?" "Nothing," said the girl. And they lived happily ever after.